All right, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Augustino Redondo. Thank you for having me. If anyone wants to turn on the cameras, feel free. I always like to see people's faces, but I mean, it's not mandatory if you don't want to, it's okay. But yeah, my name is Augustino Redondo. I am a undergraduate and graduate counselor in the political science department here at UCLA. And Noel asked me to come in and talk to you a little bit about my story. My story is probably kind of interesting. So I went to Venice High. I don't know if we have any gondos in here. We usually do. No? All right, never mind. We usually have some gondos in here, and it's nice to, see everyone. But oh, we do. Yes. Christian. All right, let's go. Anyways, yeah, so it's nice to see some of my fellow I guess kind of classmates, and it's just, it's nice. So I went to Venice High. I'm a first generation college student. No one in my family has gone to college. Yet, I'm hoping my nephews do end up going to college, and I'll guide them through the process. They're gonna get what I didn't have. I never had a mentor to kind of show me around and teach me how to apply to things, apply for financial aid, things like that. So for me, college was a big feat. I ended up going to Santa Monica College right after high school. And honestly, it was an experience because I didn't really go for the right reasons. For me, it was mostly like, oh, I want to go to meet pretty girls. And that was my main focus. I know it sounds really dumb, but it was my focus. I was like, oh, let me meet some pretty girls. Maybe it'll be a fun time. Hang out with my buddies, meet some pretty girls. And like I quickly realized, hanging out with those friends like that, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I After they ended up dropping out and not going to college, I continued going, and I started doing really well. Once I stopped taking classes with those students, with those friends, I started doing really well. I started getting like more A's and more B's, and it really pushed me to kind of further my education. Next thing you know, I hit 60 units, and I got a message from my counselor at SMC saying, "Hey, you know what? Like you're ready to transfer. Like let's go." And I was like, what? Like transfer? I didn't even think about like what's my next step. It was more like this is where I am right now. Like this is what I'm doing. And I didn't really think about what was in the future plans for me. So I quickly transferred. I got my bachelor's degree, and I transferred to Cal State LA, by the way. That was my bachelor's degree. And then I just started working at a bank. And you know what? It was okay. It wasn't my favorite job, but I mean, it was something to kind of do in the meantime while I applied for like the police academy and stuff like that. Because my major was criminal justice. I wanted to become a police officer or an FBI agent. So that didn't end up working out. I didn't enjoy it. I went on a few ride-alongs, and it just wasn't what I expected. I just started applying for jobs, and I ended up at UCLA working with Noel, and I became a student affairs advisor. And I really enjoyed talking to the students. Actually, the reason why I'm late right now is because I was talking to a student, helping them out. And that was my favorite part of the job, helping the students, talking to them, hearing their experiences, and just seeing similarities that I saw in me. And like I mentioned, like I never had a mentor, and being able to talk to them about my experiences and what I've learned through the process. I mean, it keeps them like reaching out. Like they'll reach out to me and tell me, "Hey, Augustine, I'm in law school now, or I'm doing this now." And it's always nice to hear that. It's always nice to hear like people like succeed. I love it. I love seeing people succeed, and knowing that I played a small little part in their lives. It makes me really happy, and it makes this job worth doing. And like I said, while I was there, like I got mentorship from Noel and a bunch of other counselors at the honors programs office. And it was like they kind of pushed me to go to my master's. And like I mentioned before, I'm a first generation. I don't know anything. And like I was like, masters? Like that sounds like ridiculous. Like, I can't do a master's. That's for rich people. That's for people that have money. And one thing that I've heard from a lot of people is like, like don't count yourself out before they count you out. No one told you no yet. Like, why don't you apply and see what happens? So I was like, okay. I was really stressing out about my letter to submit, my personal statement talking about like me and everything like that, because I just, I didn't even know what to write about. Like I was working at a bank, like, what experience did I have before the UCLA job? And like, it just, I figured out, and with the help of Noel and a bunch of other counselors, how to use those experiences to kind of like really shape my personal statement. And, it got me in. I went to Loyola for my master's degree. And I don't know if the PhD is ever in my cards. Might be a lot, but I mean, you never know. You never know. And it just, having that support and having that mentorship was something that I really cherished, and that's what I try to like use with my students now, trying to be that mentor, trying to be that support that they don't have, or that they need. And it just, like I mentioned, it's an unconventional way of how I ended up where I am now, but honestly, it really shaped me to be the counselor I am today. I love my job. I love what I do. I love being able to do, help students. And I mean, that's kind of my goal in this whole like this whole career change from being in the bank to coming into counseling and doing all these things. So I don't know. It just makes me really happy to be here and being able to do these little talks with you and kind of tell you about my experience, and maybe even hear about some of your experiences, because I'm sure there are many of you out there who come from the same background as me, or even a different type of background. Just having these similarities kind of like helps, and to know that what, you can do it. And yeah, so I mean, a little bit about my parents. My parents are they came from Mexico, and their English isn't very good, like, and like I said, I didn't have that mentorship. I have brothers and sisters who kind of helped me a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, they didn't go to college either. So I kind of was on my own. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So
And
Augustine, can you also kind of just briefly talk about what kind of student you were in high school, so they can get sort of the context?
okay. So honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was an awful student. I was an awful student. I didn't pay attention to class. I would ditch a lot. Like it was. I was what you would say what you would call a bad student. Um, Even in Santa Monica, like there were times where I didn't even go to class. Like I would just end up going to like the subway across the street with buddies and go get food, and then bounce, and like I wasn't exactly the best student. I really wasn't. I wish I would have applied myself a little more. Definitely, but I mean, it shaped me into the person I am today. And going to Santa Monica and being with those friends and realizing how well I did once those friends actually left and dropped out. Not to say they were horrible people or anything like that, but I mean, like, you are who you hang out with, kind of thing. And you definitely learn from those around you. And I didn't exactly surround myself with the best people. And my grades suffered a little bit during my first year. I was not the best student either at Santa Monica. It wasn't until like about my second year that I actually started doing really, really well. And yeah, that's my education experience.
Good, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So any questions, anybody?
Yeah, feel free to shoot them out. Any experiences that you want me to explain a little more about? Any type of, like, I don't know what you want to do with your future. Here, whatever you want to talk about. I'm an open book.
They're quiet at first. They're thinking right now.
Okay.
Oh, someone said any critical advice for freshmen?
Yes. I'd say focus on your schoolwork. Like, make sure you do your best in everything. And even if it's hard, utilize your resources. For example, Noel, or going to your counselor, going to the math and sciences building if you're not good at math, which I wasn't good at math. So, like, utilizing those resources that I wish I would have known about would have been great. There's also a bunch of resources on campus that help out with books and things like that. I think wishing I knew that, or wishing because I mean, like I said, my parents didn't know all that stuff. They didn't know about, like, oh, you can get money for this, you can get money for that. But there's money out there. There's a lot of money out there that people are just trying to like help out. So I'd say, like, talk to your counselors, talk to these departments, and just see what services they provide, because you never know. They can help you out a lot. You can learn a lot. So I'd say utilize your resources is one of the biggest things that I can kind of recommend.
Anybody else? Any other?
I have
Oh,
a question.
yes.
What was your turning point that made you go from, like, you said for your freshman year when you would ditch school and not go to classes, like how did you go from that to like a growth mindset now that you are now?
Oh, I like that. The growth mindset. That's no right there.
We
So
were literally learning this the other day.
yeah, nice. So for me, the turning point was when my friends, we stopped taking class together and they ended up just dropping out from, like, because like I said, like it was really easy to leave class. You know, you're not in a class where they're, or you're not in a situation where they make you stay anymore. Like now it's optional. Now it's up to you. It's up to you to stay and be focused in this class. Like no one's not gonna stop you from leaving. You know, like you gotta be in class, you gotta be present. And I think that once they were able to leave, and once they were able to like kind of like once I focused more on school and attendance and like realizing that I kind of enjoyed what I was doing, I was enjoying what I was learning, it really shaped me to want to do more, you know, to try to like focus more on school and, you know, focus less on hanging out, because you know, it was fun, but I mean, it wasn't going to lead me to my future goal or my future job aspirations. So I'd say definitely my turning point was when they left, when they left, and when I started focusing more on my studies rather than hanging out and like meeting people and stuff like that. You're welcome.
Any other questions? I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions.
Do you have any
Yes.
advice for the students who feel kind of overwhelmed? I mean, college is really different from high school, and it's still taking me a while to get used to.
No, I totally get that. It does take time. It does take time. You're meeting a whole bunch of new people. You're learning a whole bunch of new subjects, and some of those subjects you may not be comfortable with. For example, like math for me, you know, like that wasn't a subject that I was like, oh, I'm super excited to take a math course. So, I mean, I think in general, you know, just finding a niche, finding people, finding those like you who are in your classes, you know, like being able to go to class together, have similar goals and aspirations. I think that's extremely helpful. If you meet like cool friends who, like good friends, I mean, you know, that are able to like go with you to classes or like meet for study groups, go to the math and sciences center together, you know, like like having someone there as like support is honestly a big help in this whole thing. So I'd say try your best to just, you know, like make friends, you know, like, and you're gonna meet a lot of really interesting people in Santa Monica, a lot of really cool people, a lot of people who you know, like, oh, we just don't click, that, and that's okay. But meeting those people and being able to like, you know, focus on studying and, you know, focusing on schoolwork is a big help. And just knowing that you're not alone, you know, you're never alone. You have people, you have your counselors, you have your friends, you have people in other departments that are, you know, they're there to help you. That's their job, and they want to help you, they want to be there for you. So I don't so I know it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything, but try your best to just relax and just like, you know, reach out to departments and reach out to any help that you think you may need, because there's always someone to help you.
So Augustine, how did you, since you didn't know anybody in your classes, how did you go about doing study groups? Because study groups, I think, is one of the things that I definitely encourage students to do for any class, including this class. So how did you go about sort of creating that space so that you can have study groups?
So I'm a really friendly guy. I'm a really friendly guy. So it was really, always easy for me to just like whoever was sitting next to me, hey, how's your day going? Oh man, what do you think about the class? What do you think about this? You know, just striking up just a conversation. And then there are times where like, you know, someone would just say, hey, you know what, you want to meet after class and we can go study, or you know, just it's always you just have to make a little bit of an effort. It never has to be that much. Just a little bit of effort. Just hey, what do you think about this assignment? Like, are you worried about it? Like, how are you going to start this assignment? You know, just making these small little connections, and then you build your little group, and then you guys are able to go to class together. Maybe you'll go eat together and, you know, study together. That's always nice. I found that I really enjoyed that, going to like the little hall where you buy food, and you're able to like talk to people and stuff like that and just hang out and do your work. That's definitely motivational too. It helps you to it motivates you by helping you to like, you know, you're all focused on the same goal. So it's kind of nice.
Right, anybody else?
Yeah, I have another question.
Yes.
um where did you get like help, like to help you grow from like that student that you were like I had this one teacher in high school, and she kind of made me afraid to ask questions because like it was also a math class, and I'm really bad at math, but
Mhm.
she kind of made me afraid of asking questions because she'd be like, "Oh, well, you guys didn't learn this." Like she made us feel dumb, you know, and like where did you get help, and like would you be afraid to ask questions?
Yeah, I was afraid to ask questions sometimes. I think one thing to note is that, professors, they're humans just like we are, like majority of them, I don't want to say that all professors are the best, but like majority of them want to help you. They want to see you succeed. Like for example, Noel, he wants to see you succeed. I think for me, what helped me too was a shout out to the Welcome Center. I was in the Welcome. I used to be in the Welcome. I used to work in the Welcome Center, and one of my counselors there, like Stewart and like Jeff Gordon. I don't know if you guys, anyone has ever met them, but Stewart, Jeff Gordon, professor. I mean, counselors like that, they were really inspirational to me. They're the ones that kind of taught me, like, don't count yourself out before they count you out. Like, because a lot of the time it's you talking to you. Like you're your biggest enemy. It's hard to like, it's hard when you're the one stopping yourself. Like, oh, that's not gonna happen for me, or that's not gonna work out for me. You don't know that. Just, it's always nice to just have that support and have someone tell you, hey, you know what, like you can do it. And sometimes that has to be you, but I mean, luckily, like I said, I had people in the Welcome Center, and I had all these cool counselors, and I was always really involved in like, you know, being in these little clubs and stuff. Like I said, I was trying to meet people and pretty girls and stuff. that was so that was my motivation to go into these places and like get help and get these things. But like I said, take advantage take advantage and go to these places and try to get the help. Everyone's there to help you. Everyone wants to see you succeed. There are a few professors and there are a few staff, unfortunately, that are a little standoffish, but I mean, for the most part, majority of the people there will want to help you out, and they'll want to see you, and try to focus on meeting with those people. And don't get discouraged when someone says no. Like professors, like sometimes they may not mean to sound mean or mean to say things a certain way, but it comes off that way sometimes. But I'm sure majority of them want to help and they want to see you succeed in everything you do. No problem. Oh yeah, being online. Yeah, being online is a little difficult too. It definitely doesn't help. Hopefully, in the winter you'll be more in person. I'm hoping. I'm not really sure how Santa Monica is doing it. It sounds like they're doing all online in the fall. But I mean, maybe in the winter, you'll be able to do that. And you can meet friends here too. I'm sure Noel has you doing breakout groups and stuff like that. So get to know people. Maybe you guys can set up a time to meet on campus. I don't know if campus is open for students to come on, but like maybe meet at a coffee shop. Now that coffee shops are a little more open, meet up and talk about some group work.
Any other questions?
I guess I don't know if this is like really applies, but I guess what would be the advice to give for students who are probably going to go physically to campus like more next semester? Because like I'm all online for this semester, but next semester, if the COVID stuff that is a little better and there's more options for on campus classes than there were this time around, I'll probably do some of those. So what would be the advice for people who are doing like who are going in there later than like other people, I guess, because there's going to be a lot of people who were there for the first semester, so they're more acclimated and everything already, a little bit at least, to the everything within the school. They're still freshmen, but like So, I guess what would be the advice for people who are switching modes, so to speak, to on campus and everything?
Sure. Oh man, that's a tough one because it's so recent. You know what I mean? Like everything's so recent in terms.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like kind of hesitant to ask that one because I was like, I don't even know if this really applies. But if there is advice, then I mean.
I'd say, I mean, I'd say for sure, put on your friendly hat and get to know people. I think that's one of the biggest things, because you're going to be interacting with these people, especially your classmates and stuff. So, I mean, try your best to be friendly and get to know people, like, and try to hang out with people who like to study. Those are the ones that are kind of going to lead you in the right direction. So I'd say do that. Find where your niche is. I think that's the most important thing. Find where you fit in best. College is really where you find yourself and find out who you are as a person. So find your place, and utilize those resources. Definitely go in person. Just show up and be like, hey, I'm here. Like, what can you help me with? What do you guys do in this office? Even if you don't know.
And some of the offices might be open. You may want to check their websites to see, because I think some of them have in-person sort of openings, basically. So you may want to just check that out this semester, and then that way it gives you a good transition into, if it's all on ground basically for next quarter, at least you have some idea of where to go basically. So I would say, if you have time this term to just go on campus a little bit just to explore, I would say do that. So at least it will be a little familiar if everything turns to all on ground for next term. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tanya.
Based on what you know now, would you pick the same career path?
I love what I do. I like, honestly, I can honestly say I love what I do, and I love helping students. So yeah, I would. I think that if I can see into the future a little bit, I would probably pick a more direct path than all the little other ways that I went. But I mean, it shaped me to who I am now. So I mean, it's, no regrets. But yes, I would definitely pick it again.
Yeah, and everyone has different paths, because I don't know, I don't think I've talked about my path, but I've gone through so many different changes until I got to where I am and stuff. So keep that in mind too, is that you will have life experiences that will change your directions many times, and you may not end up in the career choice that you're thinking of right now, but allow experiences to happen and sort of inform what you do basically, right? Because I think that's what Augustine did. He just went, let me just do this. And then that decided the next thing. And it's like, oh, let me do this now. So that happens in life too. So just be aware of that. Any other questions before we let Augustine go to go back to his work? So Augustine, are they able to contact you after this at all?
Yeah, I don't
Are you
mind.
welcome to do?
Yeah, let me put my email in the chat. Give me 1 second.
And again, he is in the political science department. So can they contact you regarding the political science major at all, or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I'm here for anyone. And if you want any other type of personal advice, I'm always willing to share that as well.
Yeah, he's definitely a good resource, because I know I give him a hard time too, as he, but he's excellent. I think he's definitely a good sort of example of where you can be and where, what kind of paths you can take and stuff, because like he said earlier, there are things that he didn't think about. Then he realized he does enjoy counseling. So he's a counselor now. So you never know what life brings, let me tell you.
Yeah, it really does. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you all for having me. I really appreciated meeting you. And feel free to reach out to me if you need me. And good luck. And I'm sure all of you are going to do great. So just keep it up, keep going to class, and enjoy everything you do.
All right. Thank you, Augustine.
Bye, everyone.
All right. We'll keep in touch. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? I know some of you guys posted some questions regarding, so this is for the Path A, regarding the live vision presentation. We will be talking about some of the things I think someone talked about the breakdown of task stuff. We'll talk about that in a few moments and stuff. But just quickly, any other questions that maybe his presentation might have prompted you, or any other questions before we move on to the next thing? Questions?
No, no questions. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
All right, so let's do this right now. Just to kind of do something that, well, hopefully it's a little fun. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to pull up a survey up on the screen. And what I want you to do is answer the questions, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So let me launch this, and then we'll see how people's responses are. So it's posted up, and so if you can take that, and there are 3 questions. So this is a sort of hypothetical situation. Basically, if, you know, the government said, okay, we need to leave Earth because it's going to be destroyed. What are you going to take with you, basically? I had a few more people need to answer. All right, I think we got everybody. Okay, so let me end this, and then I'll show you the results on the screen. Can everyone see that? Just do a thumbs up. Right. All right. So this is so hopefully it'll give you an idea as far as priorities. So we're going to be talking about that, because I think part of time management is being able to set priorities. So from this, if you look at this, right, and I want to kind of discuss, you'll see that, like, for the first thing that some people chose, it's overwhelming family, but it's not necessarily everyone. So if you see, there other people with other priorities, basically, over family. It may seem obvious, right, for some people that it is, but again, it's a personal thing. And so you want to really think about what are your priorities. Last week, we talked about values. So that is in line with your values as far as how you set priorities. So you'll see that, yes, for some people, family is the top. There's some people where friends, they'll save basically before their family. Some people, money is more important than any of that stuff. For some people, it's their pets. And then for some people, it's their computer, basically, right? And then if you're given a second choice, like the authorities say, hey, you can take one more thing, and then it changes, right? So now it's spread out over different things, right, as far as what the second priorities are. So for some people, again, it's family, friends, money, pets, and then computer, and then change of clothing. And then for some people, it's feeling safe, right? And then if they say, yeah, you can take a third thing, then that also changes as far as what they're looking for, as far as what's important and stuff. So any responses to this as far as the priorities people have set? What do you guys think about that as far as the first choice, second choice, third choice? Any comments?
I wasn't gonna comment on the options, but I was gonna say that I was kind of surprised that we all had similar priorities. The majority of it was the same answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I'm encouraging everybody to really think about where your values lie and what your priorities are, because I think that's going to help you basically decide how to prioritize things. So that comes down to when you're managing your time and deciding what takes precedence, right? When you're figure out, well, what do I do first? What's more important, right? Anybody else?
I was just gonna say I kind of thought that like it was a bit odd that the weapon to protect yourself was third, because I would have kind of assumed that I know money was second, but I don't know. It just feels like if you have the money, then you could just like buy the weapon. So I don't know. I kind of assumed that maybe like two friends or something like that, or something else would be
Yeah.
third, because like with money you could buy like the weapon as or like hair products or a change of clothing or Game Boy. You could buy all that stuff if you have the money. So I kind of just assumed that two friends would probably be like third or something.
Yeah, and it also goes back to like what people feel are important and their thought process, right, regarding what to prioritize. So whenever you prioritize stuff, you want to really think about, well, the details, right? So you've thought through some of these, like, well, if you choose one, then that makes this other thing possible, so I don't have to make that a priority right now. So that goes back to when you're managing your time, well, you want to think about what the details are, what the circumstances or the consequences are for making the decisions, right? So people have different ways of determining that, right? And determining what's important to them. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea of how to set priorities and really think about priorities, and realizing that your priorities aren't necessarily the same as someone else. Like Elaine had mentioned something about the family, sort of assuming that that would probably be the first thing, but no, you can't assume that somebody else's priorities are exactly the same as yours. So really think about that when you make decisions, and really think about, are you making decisions because someone else had made that decision and somebody else is making that priority, and it's not really your priority? So you want to really think about that. So it is all part of time management. And let me bring up a screen if I can find it. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, here it is. So let's talk about this. Is it showing up on here? Hold on. Sorry. For some reason, the screens. Oh, there we go. Okay. So setting priorities is the first thing as far as time management, right? Really, really thinking about what that is, right? What's your what's important to you? So if you know that from the very beginning, so the values that we looked at last week or the week before should help you, right? As far as really being clear about what you value and then setting priorities. And hopefully it won't be confusing for you when you have a set of things that you need to get done or pay attention to. By setting priorities, that will help you make decisions. Because what you're going to do is first choose what your first priority is or your first value is, basically. So if you're thinking about, if you have several things, let's say you have family obligations, you have work obligations, and you have school obligations, then you want to really think about, and priorities do change depending on the context. So if right now you've decided for this semester that your first priority is school, then when you have a set of different things you have to do, then, and you have decisions about whether or not you have to do something for your family or something for work, then hopefully that will help you decide, because you've set school as a priority as far as what you're going to do for the other priorities that you have. So for example, if let's say that you have something due for school and something comes up with the family, right? Let's say that you have to babysit, right? Your mom says, oh, we need you to babysit. Then it's about you deciding, well, how do I honor the priority that I've set for this semester? So that's where you kind of have to decide, well, okay, what can I do? And decide, well, do I ask my mom for a different way to approach this, or find somebody else to babysit my siblings, let's say, or work it out with your mom regarding when you should be studying and when you can babysit, right? Or let's say that your priority is work, right, this semester, and it's not school, right? So if that's your top priority and there's a lot of things that are due for school and you have a job and you've decided, well, my priority this semester is my job, then the schoolwork will be something that's lowering your priority. And that's when you have to really look at and question yourself about, well, is this time the proper time for me to be involved with school? And it may mean dropping a course. It may be dropping out of the entire semester for this term because you've set work as a priority. Okay. Any questions or comments about that? About setting priorities? Anyone who want to share about sort of if you are having difficulties with setting priorities, maybe we can kind of talk about it as an example as far as resolving some of these things that you might be challenged by, as far as, well, what do I, if everything's important, what do I do? Anyone want to bring up anything?
Well, I guess maybe I will.
Okay.
I have to write an essay on a poem for English class by that's due next Friday, and I have to juggle the Life Visions PowerPoint and that counselor meeting along with it, and I'm kind of worried I won't. And then there's my other classes, and I'm kind of worried I won't be able to do it all on time.
Mm-hmm. So what's the so you're thinking about, well, what is the priority for each of those assignments, or is it priority over whether that's more important than doing other things?
Okay.
What is it? What is it for you?
I guess the first one maybe.
Like for the assignments. So then you'd have to think about, well, what's like which class is the more important one for you, basically, right? And if you figure out that, you know, there's a class, one of the classes, you know, let's just take, for example, this class, and you figure out, wow, you know, this is a lot of work, and I really need to think about the workload. And I find that the English course for myself right now for this semester is the more important class, and I want to do well in that. So that means I have to really think about, well, do I have enough time and commitment level to the Counseling 20 class? And maybe the question is, do I keep this class or do I drop this class? Because my priority right now is English, and right now I can't figure out if I can really do the work that's necessary for Counseling 20. So those are the questions that you might want to ask. And then, because if you've decided that English is the first priority, so that's like for any semester, you have to decide, well, what takes precedence, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Elaine, did you have a comment question?
Well, you kind of already said what I was gonna say. I was just
Okay.
gonna say that make sure that if you feel overwhelmed to check your short-term and long-term goals and make sure that it aligns with that. And
Yes.
that way you know what exactly is important for that week or just ahead in the future.
Yes, definitely. Yes, excellent. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought in the for goals. So yes, you will all have short-term and long-term goals, and those are all based on what you've determined to be valuable for you at this moment, and what you value will also set your priorities, and that will help you make decisions. Okay, so definitely excellent. Okay, so any other comments about priorities? Okay, so let's move on to the, I want to make sure I'm on here. Okay, so in the book, you guys should have read about to-do lists. So I think this is an excellent way to do to-do lists. So basically, ABC to-do list means, let's say that you create a list of to-dos for the entire week. And then what you're going to do is write it all down, right? Instead of trying to determine, okay, what's going to go first, what's going to go last, etc. What you do is just brainstorm everything that you have to do. And then what you're going to do is go through the list, basically, and then decide what, let me see if I can do this. Hold on. I'm experimenting with a few things, and let's see if this helps. Let's see. So let's say if you decide, I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, there we go. Okay. So let's say that you decide that, and if you guys can throw out some things like, so let's say do the laundry, right? I don't know, what else is there?
Wash your car.
Okay, good. Grocery shopping for mom. You said wash your car.
Yes.
Let's do a couple more things. What else?
Cook food.
Say again.
Cooking.
Cook. Okay, cook. Let's make it cook for dad's dinner. How's that? Let's do read a chapter for English class, right? Okay, so just kind of an example. So basically you list everything. So basically what you're going to do is go through, and let's see if I can do this. Okay, my screen's not participating. Hold on. Trying to figure out where my cursor is. So basically what you're going to do is go to that. Let's see if this works. Okay, my computer is not cooperating. Sorry. Okay. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. Okay, it's not doing it. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, let's see if this works. So, okay, anyway, let me just, I don't know what this is not working. So basically what you'll do is go through the list. And I'm sorry, I can't just kind of figure out how to use this board thing, but you will go through the list and mark which is, so A would be the most important. B is, if you get it done today, that's great. If not, I can push it back to tomorrow. And then C would be, this can be done at any time. So basically, you'll go through your list and mark A, B, or C. So that means that what you're going to do is go through your list. And I wish I could show you on here, but it's not cooperating, my cursor. So you do everything that's marked with an A first, basically. And then if you have enough time, then you're going to do everything that's marked with a B. Okay. Then, let's say at the end of the day, you don't have any other enough time. And then so that means that the C stuff would be pushed to either the next day or some other day. Does that make sense as far as using that to-do list strategy? Yes, thumbs up. Questions? If not, so try it out. This class is about experimenting with stuff. So try it out and see what happens and stuff, right? All right. So for the next thing is, why is this not, hold on. Okay, let me stop sharing and then see if I can come back in here. Stop. Okay, so the next thing on here as far as a strategy is taking anything that's large, right? That assignment. So it could be, let's say, reading a chapter. It could be, like we mentioned earlier, the Life Vision presentation for Group A, basically, and cutting that down into smaller pieces so it's more doable. So breaking it down into, and when we come back from the break, we'll do a little bit of that as far as breaking down stuff into smaller assignments. But you'll think about everything and anything, you'll brainstorm about everything and anything you have to do for the assignment. So let's just, to keep it simple, let's say that it's reading a chapter in the textbook. So it may mean you just listing, reading from page 1 to 2, and then 3 to 4, and then 5 to 6, right? Or it might be reading, the first 2 paragraphs, the next 2, etc., and then deciding when you're going to do that. And then so all you have to do when you do your to-do list or your calendar is just do whatever that smaller assignment is instead of thinking about the bigger assignment. Because eventually, if you've done it correctly and brainstorm about the smaller assignment, you will get to the completion of that particular project. So if you only concentrate on what you've put into your calendar for that day, so let's say if it's a chapter, reading 2 pages of the chapter, and then you're done. The next day you just read the next 2 pages, and then et cetera, until you're done, instead of thinking about, oh no, I have to read the entire chapter. So that's going to be the same thing with the bigger assignments that you have. Is just breaking it down to smaller pieces, scheduling it, and just doing whatever you need to do for that smaller chunk of the assignment instead of thinking of the bigger one. And that also helps with sort of feeling overwhelmed, because it reduces that, because all you have to do is think about that smaller item rather than the bigger item. So any sort of questions before we go on break?
Basically just, doing a little bit of each test so you don't
Yes.
get overstressed.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And that's what I usually do because I get stressed by bigger assignments. So I've learned that I need to, initially brainstorm about everything and anything I need to do and just schedule everything. So I don't have to get stressed about, oh no, I have a big project that's due, in a week or two or in a month, etc. So that definitely helps me. All right, so let's kind of take a break and let's come back at let's see, I'm just trying to make sure that we have enough time for stuff. Well, let's do come back at 12:45. Is that too much or do you guys need less? Thumbs up if that's good. All right, so we'll come back. So come back promptly at 12:45. Okay, guys? And then I'll be in here if you need me. I'm gonna be on mute and my video will be off, but just say if you need help or anything or need questions and stuff, okay? And I'm gonna stop the recording and then start it up again. Oh, I didn't record thing. All right. Any questions about goal setting? Or any questions about the time management skills that we talked about?
Well,
Yes.
you said we need. Okay. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I have any specific questions. Other than just they have to be specific and involve time, right? That it? They have to be specific and involve the time.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so go back to the lecture, right? Or the recording. It's on there, as well as I think I did post some things about the goals. There's some examples of goals in I think it's I don't know if it's this week's module or last week's module, but look at those examples so you guys know how to go about writing the goals.
Okay.
So I provided enough information so that you guys will do excellent on this assignment. Okay, guys?
Okay, so we should, see stuff about SMART goals in last week's module.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. So we're going to talk about, where is it now? I'm just trying to figure out where it is on here. Oh, here it is. Actually, no, before we do that, let me do this. We're going to do another poll and let's see where everyone's at with this. So that's the poll. Hopefully you guys can see that. Right, a few of you still need to answer. You guys can do that as soon as you can. All right, so I'm going to end the poll right now. And let me share the results. All right, can you guys see the results?
Yeah.
All right. So as you can see, right, the majority of you guys, there's a few people that don't, which is excellent. I don't know how you guys avoid that, but most people do procrastinate, as you can see, right? I procrastinate also. So I tell students that it's not something that you necessarily can sort of eliminate, but it's something that you can manage. So as you sort of grow and learn about yourself, then you will learn how to manage the procrastination that you might do and get things done sooner, basically. Because again, I do that, but I know like what my triggers are. And so then I can quickly sort of turn it around because I'm aware that I am procrastinating. But hopefully this shows you that it is something normal. And everyone does it in different degrees and maybe for different things and stuff, right? So hopefully that sort of gives you an idea of where you are. You're not alone as far as procrastinating. You're not the only one. So keep that in mind. But let me share this screen. Where is it? So I'm going to go over procrastination and what it is, basically, right? Where is it? Hold on. Sorry, I have to just move stuff around on here. Let's get rid of this. Stop sharing. All right, so sorry, I'm a little slow today. Okay, procrastination. So so there are different main causes. There's a lot of causes of procrastination, but these are some of the main causes. And so we're gonna sort of quickly talk about it, and then what time is it? I just want to make sure yeah, okay. So I'll probably go through some of this and then we'll go more in depth after we come back, basically, because I want to make sure that you guys get a break. So main causes. So there are three main causes, and the first one is self-downing. And so that's one. And then the other one is, the second one is low frustration tolerance, which means you feel like everything's too hard. And then the last thing is hostility. Okay, so those are three main causes. So if you're taking an exam, let's say the midterm exam, and I ask you what are the main causes, then these would be the three that you should list. Now, if I just do a general question about what are the causes of procrastination, then these are some of the things that might come up. So you want to be careful when you're taking exams to be sure as far as what the professor's asking. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm gonna leave it that for now, and then we'll continue with the lecture on this when you guys come back from the break. So if you guys can come back at 1:40, and then we'll continue the lecture on procrastination. All right, so come back at 1:40, and then we'll continue with this. All right. And then I'll be in here. I'll be on mute and I'll stop my video, but I will be in here to answer questions if you need so. But come back at 1:40. All right, guys. Hi, everyone. This is the beginning of the second hour of class. And sorry, but I forgot to record the second part of the procrastination lecture. So for the missing segment of the recorded lecture, refer to the following. Go to week 4, videos to watch and PowerPoints. Then after you click on that, you will go to PowerPoint on procrastination, what it is and how to minimize it. So this will also have a voiceover, so you should be able to hear the voiceover with the PowerPoint.
All right, so today in this presentation, I will be talking about concentration, the definition, what it is, what causes poor concentration, and how you can improve your concentration. So I want you to think about how would you define concentration? So before I reveal the definition I have on this presentation, I want you to briefly think about what you think concentration is. So we'll give you a few moments to do that. Right, so this is the definition I have. The action or power of focusing one's attention or mental effort on what you're doing. That is the definition of concentration. The action or power of focusing one's attention or mental effort on what you're doing. So now we're going to get into the details of concentration. So concentration, there are different levels or different stages of concentration. So the first stage or level takes 5 minutes, and it's called light concentration. And this is where you're easily distracted. And then the next stage takes about another 5 minutes. And this is called moderate concentration. So you are less distracted. You could still be distracted, but you're less distracted than in the previous level. So if you can see, this takes about 10 minutes total to get into what the majority of the hour will be, basically. So in the beginning, if you're not used to studying in 1 hour blocks, this may vary. It may take longer than 5 minutes to get into light concentration. It may take 10 minutes or so. Like moderate may take the same way until you've practiced how to concentrate while you're studying. So now the next stage is, or will take 40 minutes. And this is called deep concentration. So where you won't be distracted or easily distracted. And this is basically where you do most of your learning. This is when you can retain things more and you can concentrate on what you're learning. So this will take 40 minutes. So as you can see, it's 40 minutes plus 5 and 5. So that's 50 minutes. So that means there's 10 more minutes because there's 60 minutes in an hour. So for the last 10 minutes, basically, you want to reward yourself with a break. And this is where you'll use your reward system, like we talked about when setting goals. So you'll decide on what you're going to reward yourself for that 10-minute period. Then you'll start studying again. So again, concentration is made up of 3 different levels or stages. The first is light, second is moderate, and the third is deep. So now we're going to talk about next why people don't or are unable to concentrate. So the reason why most people can't concentrate is because of the lack of aim. So this is an acrostic and an acronym so you can remember what the causes of poor concentrations are. So the first one, lack of attention. So lack of attention is when you have difficulty focusing. And the next thing is lack of interest. So lack of interest is when you don't have much interest in the topic that's being discussed or what you're studying. So that's lack of interest. So you have no interest in what you're studying or what's being presented in a lecture. The next thing is motivation. This is when you are not motivated to learn anything. For example, if you are not motivated to receive a degree or earn a degree from a college, that means it's going to be hard for you to be motivated to go to class or motivated to pay attention in class. So again, there are 3 causes of poor concentration, and it's the lack of attention, lack of interest, lack of motivation. So essentially the causes of poor concentration is the lack of aim. So the next thing we're going to do is talk briefly about what are some of the things that you can do to improve your concentration. So we won't go into detail on it because you should have read the chapter on time management. And there will also be other moments in this class where we'll talk about things that you can do to improve concentration. But let's move on to. So here are some of the strategies. So this is just some, because there could be more strategies to ensure that you can concentrate. So there's motivational and organizational strategies. So some of the examples under there are develop a positive attitude toward your work, create interest in your task. So essentially trying to determine what would motivate you in order to get through a task that you are not too excited about. Goal setting, time management strategies. So you should have read that in your chapter. Having a positive learning environment is another strategy. So determine the best location for you to study. So that could be at the library. It could be a particular spot in your room. It could even be a coffee shop. So the next thing is reducing multitasking. So there has been research on how human beings can basically spend 100% into a task and successfully complete it. And they found that human beings can't multitask and be 100% successful in what they're doing. So basically reducing multitasking would basically allow you to concentrate more on what you need to study or what you need to do in class. The next thing is minimizing distractions, which means eliminating things like the phone, any kind of social media, television, etc. So finding ways to minimize those so you aren't distracted, so you can concentrate on what you have to study or what you have to read or what you need to pay attention to. So those are ways to ensure that you can concentrate. So now let's talk about how to minimize distractions. So there are 2 types of distractions. So the 2 types are internal and external. So internal means it's you thinking about things or worrying about things. So it's basically about your thoughts. So that's internal distractions. The second type is external distractions, and external would be outside of your thoughts. So basically it could be a noise outside, someone dropping something, someone talking. So those are external distractions. It also includes hunger. So if you're hungry, because it's outside of your thoughts, although it's inside of your body, it's still outside of your thoughts. So that's also external. So those are the 2 types of distractions, internal and external. So now here's a question for you. How do you minimize distractions? So in your journal this week, I would like you to discuss the distractions that you encounter and what are ways that you can minimize those distractions for yourself. So again, I would like you to discuss how are you going to minimize your distractions, and definitely name those distractions. So hopefully everything was clear on this, and you were able to concentrate through this PowerPoint. Thank you.
All right. Any comments, reaction to any of that stuff?
Wait, what was that thing he said about, journals and the distractions? I think
Well, include that in your discussion. Like when you're doing a journal, discuss concentration, how you're doing concentration, whether what you're doing is working, what do you need to work on, etc.
and that's what you wanted to do for our class discussion this week, right?
Yeah, you can do it at class discussion, but I think within that video, if you can also discuss it in your journal, because some of that stuff might be a little bit more personal and you may not want to do it in sort of a public forum. But you definitely can if you wanted to. You're definitely welcome to do in the more public discussion, but either way, you can definitely do that. So just a few things that I want to sort of point out. I know it discussed about the perfect sort of study environment. Everyone's different, so you want to figure out what that is for you. Now, some of you guys, well, let me ask you a question. I should have done a poll on this, but how many of you guys study on your bed? Like not raise your hand, but thumbs up. Okay. All right. So usually and there's a lot of you, and it's always like that, but think about what that is for you, right? The bed. So usually the bed is where you relax, you sleep, right? For some of you guys, it might be where you listen to music, where you watch TV. So if you think about that, then that's, where you go to relax and do these other things. I don't know, for some of you might, when you're studying, if you get in bed to study, you'll fall into that, right? You feel relaxed, you get sleepy. How many of you guys get sleepy when you're studying on your bed? Yeah. So a lot of you guys, right? Because that's where you go to relax. And so is that the appropriate place for you? Do you want to really think about it to study if that's the case, right? Because you want to think about, well, do you want to be more alert when you study? But if you're relaxed, are you that alert enough to be studying? So think about creating a space in your bedroom, your apartment, your house, wherever it might be, that the only thing you do is study. Because if you can set up a space like that, that means you're automatically will get into that frame of mind of studying if you can create that space for you, instead of using another space that is meant to do something else for you. Okay, so that's one thing I would suggest. Also suggest kind of thinking about, well, what environment do you need in order to study? For like for me, for example, when I was in college, what I discovered is that, and it might not work for all of you guys or none of you guys, but I would go to the library with friends, and I found out that what I would do in the library, because it's cold usually, I fall asleep in the library. So it wasn't a good place for me to study. So I started studying with another friend, and he would study in the coffee house on campus. And the coffee house was busy, was noisy, a lot of things going on. And then for me, that was a place for me to study and be able to focus and study and concentrate. And I think for me, the reason why, because I've kind of evaluated it to kind of figure out why that is, but it's because there's so many things going on that the only thing I can do is concentrate on my work. So for me, that was my ideal environment. So you want to figure out for yourself and experiment with different places, right? To see, well, what's the best place for me to stay alert? And so some of you, it might be the library because you need that quiet. You can't concentrate because there's too many things going or other things going on. So you want to think about what's the perfect environment for you. And everyone's different, but you want to be honest with yourself. The other thing that I know comes up a lot is a lot of people put on music, right? How many of you guys put on music when you study? Some of you guys? Okay. So let me ask you a question. How many of you guys start humming and singing along? So for those of you that start doing that, do you really think about, well, is music really conducive to your studying if what you're doing is singing along or doing the rap or whatever it might be to the song, basically, right? So you want to really think to see if it really works. Yes,
When you
Brendan.
say like, oh no, that wasn't
Oh,
Brendan, it
Nolan.
was me. But
Nolan,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry. When you say like studying, I'll put on like music or whatever, or like a video or something playing in the background if I'm just like doing normal homework. Like
Yep.
if I'm trying to read something or like do like if I'm trying to write, no, not write, like I'll put on stuff when I'm writing, but if I'm trying to like read something to write an essay about, I won't put on like music while I'm trying to read it because that is distracting. So I'll read it first, and then maybe while I'm writing like the essay or something, I'll just like put on music in the background or whatever.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, I
it
think,
doesn't bother me. It doesn't distract me when I'm actually like writing it. But when I'm reading something, like that's when I feel like, you know, you might want to just like take it in and not have any outside distractions or whatever.
Yeah, and
it
then
kind of depends on
yes,
what
so
you're
that's
studying
good.
or doing.
That's what I mean by being aware of how you study and what kind of environment. So you've already, so which is great that you have some self-awareness of when something works and when it doesn't, because it really, it does depend on sort of the subject matter that you're doing. Either it's reading or you're writing, or even doing math problem sets, whatever it might be. Because yeah, there are occasions where music might help, and there's occasions where it doesn't. So it's about self-awareness, right? So which is great that you have that and you know exactly when it works and when it doesn't work. So that's definitely excellent. Any other questions or comments about either concentration or procrastination or anything else, or anyone need ideas as far as minimizing some of the distractions that you might have, or any suggestions regarding procrastination and how to avoid that? Anybody that maybe worked for you, or you have a question about, right? Maybe there's something that you want to try out and you want to put that out there to see, well, if anyone's done it and if it's worked for them. So either on concentration, minimizing concentration, or minimizing procrastination. Anybody want to share anything? No one wants to share anything that works for them?
Sorry, what was the question?
So basically, if you can share anything that either works for you regarding the minimizing concentration, minimizing distraction, or minimizing procrastination, or something that you're challenged by that you want suggestions on as far as minimizing any of those.
I mean, my
Lee.
phone's on mute in a way. I said I make sure that my phone is away when I'm studying, and I mute notifications.
Yes, excellent, right? Definitely, because how many of you guys are so attached to your phone that you can't have it off or you can't have it muted? Because I know that there's a lot of students out there that have that, right? So if that's the case, then you want to think about how do you move that out of the way so you're not even paying attention, right, to your phone. I think turning off is probably the best way, because I do that too. I turn it off because I'm like, no, I don't want anything. Because I can see flashes of light, and then I, I'm distracted and I have to pay attention to it. Yes, Brendan, did you have a comment?
I found that bribing myself with stuff works. Like maybe if I review my math, like one thing I constantly made use of was was telling myself that if I reviewed my math, if I read through my math notes all the way through, I guess buy myself a hamburger or something.
Yeah, I mean that's the reward system, right? So that motivates you. Yeah, definitely, excellent. Anybody else? All right. And then so it may take me, I know it's taken me a while to kind of edit some of these videos and stuff. This one, because I missed a whole chunk, it may take me a while to kind of insert that the part on the procrastination stuff that I missed. So hopefully I can post these videos sooner, but editing is not my forte, so it takes me a while to kind of edit stuff. But I'll post that as soon as I can. Any questions about anything else? Anything that might be coming up or anything like that?
I did have like a question involving one of my like goals, but I guess I can wait until the end of class.
Yeah. So once I end class, I'm gonna give some time for people to ask about their goal stuff. So we'll definitely have that period.
Okay.
But anything else? No. So what I'm going to do is, I know it's a little early, and you guys want me to go until 2:35, but I want to end early because I want to make sure, because I always have questions about the goal setting stuff. So I want to allow some time for people that need to ask questions or even check out their goals to make sure that it looks okay. So I'm going to allow that. So we're going to end class early, and then anyone who has questions about the goal statements that they've come up with and want me to check any of that, I will be available. So we're going to end it early now. All right, guys.
Okay.
So everyone have a good weekend, and then we'll see you guys next week. All right. And then I'll be here until 2:35 to answer questions about the goal stuff.